The struggles that we deal with are going to stem from not being genuine, not being our authentic selves. We're always chasing after things, material things, appearance, making more money, or chasing after acceptance. As soon as we can get away from the fear of rejection and become our authentic selves, become who God created us to be, we'll never get away from that pull of wanting to go and gain acceptance. If I can live with integrity with who God created me to be, then I can live out of love and I can be honest with myself and say, I don't want anything. I don't desire anything because I have God. Whereas if I live in this place of fear, of needing acceptance from other people because I fear rejection, then I'm always going to want, I'm always going to desire. I'm going to want a better house or more homes or more cars or better cars, more money. There's always going to be that need for satisfaction that's never going to satisfy. Whatever you're addicted to or attached to will stem from desiring and always feeling like you need to put things in place in front of that fear. So if I'm in fear of being rejected by others and not meeting their standards, I'm gonna do everything I can to avoid being put into a place of fear or in a place of experiencing the fear. So I'll have a great job, I'll have a nice home, I'll have a nice car, I'll have all of these things in place to push you away from exposing my fear of rejection. And our emotions will be all over the place because if anything is misplaced or out of or threatening us being put into a position of rejection, then we're going to be angry. We're going to be over emotional. When we're in a place of not caring about the rejection and living in our true and authentic selves and living for God and not for the world, there's no desire, there's no want, there's no pull away from the moment. I could be here with you, with the blessing that's in front of me. If I'm playing with my daughter, if I'm visiting my grandpa, if I'm with the person that God has blessed me with in that moment, I can be truly present. I don't have this pull of like, I need to go make money. I need to go work more hours. I need to go buy something to gain more acceptance from the people I fear rejecting me. Initially, when you start to live authentically and truly yourself, you're going to be rejected. People are going to wonder why. Why are you this person and not who you were yesterday or who I thought you were? And so getting over that fear, what's helped me is realizing that all of those things are belief of lies. So the reason why I'm not my true self is because I believed lies were true. And I don't want to live a lie. And so I'm willing to deal with the fear and deal with the rejection at first, so that way I can then live with integrity of who God created me to be. And I don't have to live for a fake me, live for a lie. The other thing is, if I am living for acceptance of others and in fear of this rejection, I then have to reject me. I then have to reject the person that God created. I don't want to do that. And so with those in mind, I understand that I'm going to deal with this pain at first, so that way I can then live in peace with who I am. I don't have to worry about not being honest and not living with integrity. And this really alleviates a lot of the pain that we deal with in life when it comes to the addictions and attachments and always needing to please others. Now I'm going to go over the belief of lies. So when I figured this out is because I questioned my addiction. So I was always on my phone scrolling. You know, it's normal. Nobody would really question that addiction. It's just like everybody does it. So what's the big deal? Also overeating, which my weight is okay, but I would still overeat. I'm not hungry. Why am I eating? Nobody's calling me or texting me. Why am I on my phone? There's no purpose, right, behind what I'm doing. And so I'm just questioning these things that I'm doing that have no purpose in my life. So I put my phone away, and I'm just aware of why I'm going to my phone. I'm not trying to remove the addiction at this point. I just want to be aware of it. And the thought that came to my mind was, I made a post and I was thinking about a certain individual, and I was thinking, what does this person think about my post? And I had a little bit of like an uneasy feeling. And at that moment, I was like motivated to go do something about it, to go either make a new post or to go to my phone to do more research on what I had posted, because I was afraid of that judgment, right? I was operating out of fear at that moment, out of anxiety, and I was motivated to gain acceptance because this person might reject me. And so I'm like, that's where my addiction stemmed from. It stemmed from me caring about what somebody else is thinking of me. But even that statement is a lie. That's not down to the true belief that I hold. And so it took me a few days to kind of realize this, but as I kept being aware of like why I go to food and why I go to my phone, it all came from fear of judgment, fear of possible rejection. And so the first thing I told myself is, dang, I care about what other people think of me. Well, that's lie number one. I don't actually care about what people think of me, but that's where I started. Well, and that's a lot of what we would even tell ourselves. In the past, I've told myself this too. But I'm being honest with myself right now, and I'm saying, okay, I care about what people think of me. Well, ask the next question, why? Because I want to be accepted. I don't want to be rejected, right? I don't want to be humiliated. I don't want to be made fun of or whatever it is. I want to be accepted, and I don't want to be rejected. Why? Because I want love, right? Acceptance is a form of love. Rejection is a form of not being loved. So if I'm being honest with myself, I want to be loved. Why? And here is where we finally get to the truth of my belief. Even though it's based on a lie, it's truly what I believe. And I had to be honest with myself. And I said, the reason why is because I believe I get my acceptance, my stability, and my love from other people. So if they don't give it to me, then I'm going to have this anxiety, this fear of loss of love. And that's where my beliefs have been, this belief of a lie that I need to get that from other people, and I don't. They can reject me, right? But I don't need it from them. Even if they accept me, I don't need it because I get it from Christ, and that's the actual truth. So that's the next thing that I have to rewrite that belief and say, you know what? I don't need acceptance or rejection from other people because that's going to actually come from Christ. I'm going to be accepted or rejected by him. I'm going to be loved. And I know God created me. I know he created me for like exactly as I am. And so I can then say God does love me because he thought of me and who I am and created me the way I am. So then I can then accept myself and love myself as God created me. And I can give this person to the world. But if I'm living in fear of rejection of who I am and rejecting who God created me to be, then I'm going to be living for the world and I'm going to have all this anxiety and living in all this fear. So then I had to start making decisions and actually being aware of why I'm doing certain things. So if I go to my phone, is there a purpose? If I eat, am I hungry? And if I'm not, then I don't want to live a lie. I don't want to go to this stuff because I'm in fear of what others would think of me. And at that point, I can then be honest with God and say, these are the things I need to work on. I'm prideful, I seek glory, I get angry, I argue too much. But at least I'm being honest at this point with what I need to work on. I'm coming from a place of proper intention. I'm coming from a place of love, of wanting to improve. Whereas before, I was living in fear. So let's say I'm in threat of losing my job. I would more so care about what other people thought of me getting fired than I would care about even having that job. Whereas if I'm living as my authentic self, I don't want anything. Whatever you give me, God, of course, I'm going to be happy with the blessings you give me. If I get fired, so what? If I lose my home, so what? Because there's no fear of what other people would think of me. There's always going to be something that God's going to give me. I trust that God's going to provide me with a home, provide me with employment if I need it, going to provide me with the people in my life that I need. So that's it. This is just what I wanted to share about living fake and in lies, and then living in truth and your authentic self of who God created you to be.